People have a hard time surviving these days. The crashing economy and the lackluster job market isn't really helping anybody at all at this point. And unless you personally own one of these Fortune 500 companies, that is, because somehow, some way, those guys are able to figure out a way to fork in record profits year after year. Well, unfortunately, for the average chump like you and I, shit sucks. So, let's sit back together, grab a snack, and discuss how sucky shit really is these days. And if you personally feel like you relate to anything discussed in this video, feel free to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily uploads around here discussing topics just like this. And I want to start this video off by giving a huge shout out to everybody who supports my content, my channel memberships, and my Patreon supporters. You can check out the details, all that stuff down below in the description. And those are some of the best ways to support my content around here. Now, let's begin.
How come no one ever talks about that the American dream is completely dead? I mean, we work all week, and for what? We can't afford to even put a roof over our heads, buy food, groceries, can't afford anything, can't go out, do anything on the 2 days we have off.
What are we working so hard for? Let me know in the comments what your drive is.
And you can bet that those 2 days are going to fly by faster than you can blink. And then you're right back where you started. Monday morning. Just living the American dream.
After 2 months of being homeless, my ex...
Alright, so that first video, the American dream, is it dead? Is it still thriving? Most people like to say that you have to be asleep to actually still believe in it. And as well as this might be the country that everybody strives to go to and is the most sought after to live in, the people who were born here and actually were raised upon here can't wait to get out, and they're finding the American dream in other places and other spots. Now, this gentleman right here is going to explain how him and his girlfriend were homeless, and they finally got a place together. And they went to the worst spot you can go when you're trying to get brand new apartment goodies, Target.
girlfriend and I were finally able to afford to go to Target, and this is all we could afford moving into our small new apartment. No other furniture, just an air mattress, peanut butter and jelly, bread and cheese, and
he's going to say a little bit of meat, which is talking about that bologna right there, the finest meat in the whole grocery store. Either way, I don't have a hate towards Target, although I do have a couple, disagreements with Target in the past, but being that I used to work there and we kind of had somewhat of a falling out, but it was a mutual split between Target and I. But I definitely think that if you're trying to save money, if you're on a budget, if you're shopping for a brand new apartment, Target is not the place to go to save a few pennies or save a quick buck, because they are going to make you pay a little bit more than you might be paying if maybe even going to Walmart. There's many other stores. I guess for an air mattress, he's not really going too crazy, but I wonder how much money they have to work with here, because that even that air mattress and those few cans of food probably cost him about $50 to $70. So interesting.
me. That's all we had moving in.
There's definitely a difference between new broke and old broke.
And the pandemic made it apparent who was the new broke and the old broke, because you didn't see poor people out there stockpiling 20 things of water, 50 things of toilet paper, because we knew what to do. We knew how to adapt when we had toilet paper. Baby, did you know if you rub it between your hands, you can soften the pages of a newspaper or a magazine or something?
All right, I was living alone for quite some time, and I too have ran out of toilet paper. Many people, if you live long enough, you will find yourself in that shitty predicament. If you caught the pun there, good for you. Either way, I don't recommend running out of toilet paper, but I do understand what she's saying, that is definitely a difference between the old poor and the new poor, the old broke, the new broke, because even back in the day, broke still had a place to live. Being broke, you still had a job. Being broke, you still had some sort of a reason to get up in the morning. Now, people aren't just broke financially, they're broke in their spirit, they're broke in their career path, and they're broke overall. It's kind of depressing.
When you in dire straits, you do what you got to do. And people who are the new broke, they're out here like in distress at being broke. People who've been broke all their lives, a lot of things stress us out, but being broke ain't never been one of them, because it's all we know. We learned our survival skills. That's why people are so scared of recessions and stuff. Like, heck, some of us be so broke we don't even know we in a recession, because that's our everyday life. And then
some people have been living their entire life in a recession, or at least in the midst of what feels like one. So this whole new feeling of being broke and penny pinching and living on a budget that doesn't stretch anywhere near as long as it's supposed to, that's not new to a lot of folks, me included. So honestly, I've never really been not broke, or I've at least never not felt broke. I've always felt some sort of broke. And I feel like everybody has somewhat of a different definition for that word, just like every other definition. But at the same time, what is your definition of broke? There was a video I saw the other day where it said, what What amount of money do you have in your bank account where you label yourself as broke? In my opinion, if you have $0, you're broke. If you have 10 or $20, you're not as broke as somebody else, but you might be broke in your terms. So please let me know down below in the comments what determination of money you have to have in your bank account or even in cash in your wallet to consider yourself quote unquote broke. Now, let's continue.
Is the folks who are the new broke, they stepped on the old broke on their way up, and now they got to kiss their ass on the way down. You got to ask the old broke how to go to the food pantry, how to apply for government assistance, how to do this, how to do that, what time you need to go to be able to get served, and all of that. You have to reach out to those same people that you thought you were better
There
than.
definitely is a difference in people who are okay with doing certain things. Some people look down on riding the bus. Some people look down on government assistance. Hell, I actually reached out myself for government assistance, not just for somewhat of an experiment for these videos I do on here to actually put myself in the boat a lot of these people, because I do actually qualify under the terms of being able to apply for government assistance. They actually turned me down. I got denied for the cash benefits, and they are still processing my EBT, my food stamps, my food benefits. I don't think I'm going to actually apply for those either because it's just very, very weird how the whole system works. Now, I do like how they have different processes where you have to jump through a few different hurdles. Not many people can abuse the system, how as at least not as easy as how they make it seem online. But at the same time, even if I were to get completely approved, fully pushed through and push my way through, I would still only get about $200 max a month benefits of cash and food, which $400 a month does not go very far, but still kind of interesting how I still got denied for that. Now, I'm not being petty, but I do want to make people really understand how there is a difference between old broke and new broke, and people are haven't started to realize what it's like to actually live while being broke.
To get help. Like my whole platform is based on things I done lived. This is nothing that I haven't done before. Like the whole lentil thing came because me and my husband was dead broke and we needed food and we made lentil soup. I know how to adapt and survive. The thing is, you need to learn how to humble yourself. Just like that whole debacle with the angel tree and people saying this and that about folks. Just imagine for a second you and your kids was on there. You would want your kids to have nice things too. Just a thought.
The average millennial is 36 years old. They can't afford to buy the house. So therefore, their future self is poorer. They have less savings. They've got
Oh
debts.
man, talking about okay, so millennials, I am peak Gen Z. I'm currently 25 at the time of the recording of this video, and I personally don't really see myself ever being able to own a home unless I somehow hit the lottery, because I'm never going to inherit one myself. And that's actually how a lot of people my age are probably going to getting their homes, is either inheriting them or building some sort of large business for themselves, building some sort of wealth on their own terms. And in the long term, whether that's 10, 15, 20, 25 years, eventually they'll be able to own a home, which ironically, homes are on a like 15 to 30-year mortgage gap. So it's funny how it'll probably take that long before many people in our age are actually able to even get one in the first place. Which who knows how much they'll be charging for them at that time period. But in terms of the financial crisis, many old folks just say young people need to go back to work. They need to start working harder. They need to want money more. And honestly, I don't think anybody has wanted money more than young folks these days.
From university. So they don't have the ability to get out of this trap. And then what we are finding is because of this, they're having to live with other people into their 30s. They don't have kids and they don't get married. And these numbers have collapsed since 1983. You've seen these numbers come down from people living on their own. So you could get your job, get yourself an apartment, has gone from 80% to 62%. You're seeing the marriage rate halve. You're seeing the home ownership rate go from 50% to 30%.
Now,
These are
I have still seen quite a few people in my age group being able to buy homes. Now, they are definitely smaller homes, but still homes nonetheless. But I have definitely seen many more people, Gen Z and millennials, push off their marriage and getting married in later terms. People just stay engaged for years and years, almost honestly going on to decades, and just push off that marriage process. Now, one in America, there is this whole ordeal. There's this whole ordeal where people are convinced they're brainwashed where you have to have some big Disney Channel, big Disney movie ceremony wedding that has to cost $100,000. But at the same time, you could just go to the courthouse and get the same exact types of laws and benefits from getting married. But I get that's not really what it's all about. Okay, the wedding's supposed to be a big memory. You're supposed to have videos and pictures for Facebook, okay, or Instagram, or wherever you post these days. But at the same time, a lot of people are pushing off some of these big life moments, and some people are completely opting out to not have them at all. Like kids, for example. My entire life, I always wanted a family, kids, a big, corner house, cars for everybody, and being able to live on one income. Well, the live on one income thing is damn near impossible. The kids are, I pretty much put them out the window. I already pretty much explained how I don't think I'll ever be able to own a home, and finding a girlfriend and having a car, both those things are expenses. I don't think I'm prepared to have right now is at my point in life. And as sad as that is to say, that's how a lot of folks, including myself, look at these types of ordeals, as they're all just financial gains or financial ruins. And for many people, they look at them as financial ruins. Very depressing, but very truthful.
All expressions of the same problems, which is people know their future is fucked and they can feel it. They have a sense of desperation. You see then the same cohort of kids in their 30s doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. That's not because they want to. Nobody wants to work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. It's because they have to. And their parents, the baby boomers, who are in their 70s and retiring, never had that. They were the richest generation the world had ever seen. So
My dad was making 100 grand a year on a one job, one person income, taking care of a 5-person family when he was like late 20s, early 30s. And honestly, even if you get out of college, making 100 grand a year, depending on your occupation, depending on where you're living, your said location, it's damn near impossible. And there is definitely ways to work up in companies and suck enough people off metaphorically to get yourself in a position where you can live somewhat, not to say lavishly, but comfortably. But at the same time, there's only so many positions. Not everybody has the bandwidth to do all that, because you really do have to fake it to make it to get into some of these positions. And then once you do get there, you are just as replaceable as anybody in the lower tier bottom bitch positions as you were there, as you were there too.
this is the first generation that won't be as rich as their parents. And that's a weird thing because we're all used to human progress, the American dream. If the American dream is, well, you'll never be as wealthy as your parents, and they were middle class people, and I'm now less well off than them, that's kind of fucked.
Does anybody know what we're supposed to do? Just like in general.
What a great follow-up video. And I really think a lot of these people in this video, and people watching, myself included, can actually relate to a lot of these topics and these unfortunate statements being said. And I really do want to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions down below in the comments. So feel free to express all those. I always read all of them, and I always respond to the ones I see fit. It is definitely a dire situation right now for a lot of folks, not just the drastic economy, the lackluster job market, and just the overall sad situation that many people are in terms of their finances. And I know there's definitely a light on the horizon. That's one way to look at it. But just like that guy said, it is kind of weird to think that the majority of America runs and thrives off of the idea that one day we will be able to thrive off the American dream. When in reality, it does seem like the majority of kids will not be as well off as their parents and their grandparents and so on, when it was supposed to be a better economy going thus forward. When really it seems to be getting more and more strapped down to taxation and these different corrupt corporations, these crazy corporate ladder that almost feels like a wage slave system, all overall all in itself. So either way, feel free to rant and vent down below. I always love to hear it. And I want to give a huge shout out before I end this video to my Patreon supporters, my channel memberships, everybody who rocks the channel. These are the best ways to support. These are the best ways These are some of the best ways to support the channel over here, and me, myself, and I. So feel free to check out the details, all that stuff down below in the description. And I do appreciate all you guys, and all the support goes such a long way. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.